The bell above the diner door rang with a tired, metallic sound, the kind that had heard too many mornings and too many lonely afternoons. Outside, the heat shimmered over the cracked asphalt, and inside, the air smelled of old coffee, fried onions, and something sweet that clung to the vinyl booths. The diner sat just off the highway, forgotten by most people except truckers, locals, and those who needed a place to sit when the world felt too heavy. Emily waited by the window in her wheelchair, hands folded in her lap, her fingers worrying the edge of her sweater. She was 17, small for her age, with dark hair pulled into a loose braid that slipped over her shoulder. Her legs rested stiffly on the footplates, unmoving, a quiet reminder of the accident that had changed her life 3 years earlier. A drunk driver. A rain-slick road. A sound like metal tearing itself apart. After that, nothing below her waist had ever listened to her again. Her mother had suggested the diner as a way to get out of the house. Just lunch, she had said. Just something normal. Emily had agreed because she was tired of being careful all the time, tired of walls that knew her too well. Her mother had gone to the counter to pay, leaving Emily alone at the table, watching dust float through sunlight and cars pass by without stopping. She ordered a grilled cheese and a milkshake, chocolate, extra thick. When the waitress brought it, she smiled politely and said thank you, the word soft, practiced. Emily had learned to make herself small in public spaces. It felt safer that way. That was when the laughter started. It came from the booth behind her, sharp and careless. 3 teenagers, loud, restless, wearing school jerseys and cheap cologne. Emily tried to ignore it at first, staring at the condensation sliding down her glass. But then one of them leaned over, close enough that she could smell mint gum and sweat. "What's wrong with you?" he asked, his voice dripping with amusement. She froze. Her chest tightened, breath shallow. She did not answer. Silence had become her armor. Another boy snorted. "Maybe she can't hear you," he said. "Or walk. Or anything." They laughed again, louder this time. The diner seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in. Emily felt heat crawl up her neck. She wished her mother would come back. She wished she were invisible. "Hey," she said finally, barely above a whisper. "Please stop." That was when the first boy slapped her. The sound cracked through the diner like a gunshot. Emily's head snapped to the side, pain blooming across her cheek, hot and shocking. For a moment, everything went quiet. She tasted blood where her teeth had cut her lip. Her eyes filled instantly, tears blurring the room into streaks of light and shadow. Someone gasped. A fork clattered to the floor. The boys laughed, adrenaline making them bold and stupid. "Relax," the boy said. It was a joke. Emily's body shook. She tried to speak but nothing came out. Shame flooded her, heavier than the pain, heavier than the chair beneath her. She felt exposed, broken open in front of strangers who did nothing. She hated them for their silence almost as much as she hated the boys. Her mother was there suddenly, her face pale, her eyes wide with a fury Emily had never seen before. She shouted, her voice raw, words tumbling over each other. The diner owner threatened to call the police. The boys backed away, still laughing, throwing insults over their shoulders as they left, untouched, unafraid. When they were gone, the room exhaled. Emily stared at the tabletop, at the small crack near the edge that looked like a lightning bolt. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Her mother knelt beside her, cupping her face gently, careful not to hurt her. Emily felt her touch, but could not feel safe again, not yet. "It's okay," her mother whispered, though it clearly was not. "I'm here." Emily nodded because that was what she was supposed to do. But something inside her had cracked open, something that had already been fragile. She felt small in a way she had not felt since waking up in the hospital and realizing she could not move. They stayed for a while after that, waiting for Emily's breathing to slow, waiting for the world to settle back into place. The diner returned to its low hum, conversations resuming, coffee poured. Life moved on, indifferent. An hour passed. Emily sat quietly, her cheek still burning, her heart still heavy. She wondered if this was how it would always be. Not just the chair, not just the stairs, but the cruelty. The reminder that some people saw her not as a person but as a target. Then the rumble started. At first, it sounded like distant thunder, low and rolling. The windows began to vibrate, silverware rattling softly. Emily looked up, confused. Outside, motorcycles pulled into the parking lot, one by one, then more, their engines growling in unison. Leather jackets, helmets tucked under arms, heavy boots hitting the pavement. The diner door opened, and the bell rang again. They filled the doorway, a dozen of them at least. Men and women, broad-shouldered, scarred, older. The room went quiet again, but this time, it was different. Not fear exactly. Awareness. One of them, a tall man with a gray beard and eyes that had seen too much, scanned the room slowly. His gaze landed on Emily. He noticed the redness on her cheek. He noticed the way she held herself, guarded, exhausted. Something in his expression changed. They took up several tables, ordering coffee, pie, burgers. Their voices were low, controlled, but there was an energy among them, like coiled wire. Emily felt it without understanding why. She felt watched, but not in the way she usually did. This felt different. A woman with braided hair and a tattooed neck stood and walked over. She knelt in front of Emily's chair so they were eye level. "Hey," she said softly. "I'm Sarah. Are you okay?" Emily swallowed. Her instinct was to deflect, to minimize. But the kindness in the woman's eyes undid her. "They hit me," Emily said, her voice breaking on the last word. Sarah nodded slowly, jaw tightening. "I figured." Her mother stiffened. "We're fine," she said quickly, protective. "We don't want trouble." Sarah looked at her, then back at Emily. "Sometimes trouble finds you," she said gently. "Sometimes it needs to be reminded where it doesn't belong." The gray-bearded man approached, resting a hand on Sarah's shoulder. "What happened?" he asked Emily, his voice calm but heavy. She told them. Her words came out haltingly at first, then faster, the story spilling out of her like water breaking through a dam. The slap, the laughter, the way no one stopped it. When she finished, she felt hollow, exposed, but lighter. The man nodded once. "I'm Jack," he said. "We're passing through. But we don't like bullies." Emily did not know what to say to that. A few minutes later, the diner door opened again. The boys were back. They swaggered in, loud, emboldened by the fact that nothing had happened the first time. One of them stopped mid-sentence when he noticed the bikers. His smile faltered. Jack stood. The sound of his chair scraping against the floor was sharp, deliberate. Every biker in the room went quiet, watching. Jack walked toward the boys slowly, his boots heavy, measured. "You got something to say?" one of the boys asked, trying to sound brave. Jack stopped a few feet away. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply looked at them. "You hurt a girl," he said. "A girl who can't walk away from you." The boy laughed nervously. "It was nothing." Jack leaned closer. "It was everything." The diner held its breath. "We're not here to touch you," Jack continued. "Not today. We're here to make sure you understand something." Sarah stood behind him now, along with the others. A wall of leather and steel. "You don't get to decide who matters," Sarah said. "You don't get to take your ugliness and put it on someone else." The boys shifted, suddenly aware of how small they were. "You apologize," Jack said. "Right now. And you remember this feeling the next time you think about lifting your hand." One of the boys scoffed, but his voice shook. "Or what?" Jack smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Or you'll spend a long time wondering who you're afraid of becoming." Silence stretched. Then one of the boys looked at Emily. His face was pale. "I'm sorry," he muttered. The others followed, apologies clumsy and unconvincing, but real enough. Then they left, faster than before, their laughter gone. Emily felt something loosen inside her chest. She did not feel victorious. She felt seen. The bikers returned to their seats. Jack raised his coffee cup in a small salute toward Emily. Sarah smiled at her, warm and proud. "You're stronger than you think," Sarah said. Emily shook her head. "I didn't do anything." Sarah crouched again. "You survived," she said. "That's doing something." They stayed a little longer, talking, sharing stories of roads and losses and finding family in unexpected places. Emily listened, absorbing the weight of their lives, the way they carried their scars openly. She laughed once, surprised by the sound of it. When they finally left, the diner felt different. Quieter, but safer somehow. Emily watched them ride away, engines fading into the distance. She touched her cheek, still tender, but no longer burning. Something had shifted. The world was still cruel. Her legs were still. But she felt taller somehow, steadier. She realized that her life would not be defined only by what had been taken from her. It would also be shaped by the moments when people chose to stand beside her. As she rolled toward the door, she caught her reflection in the glass. She did not look broken. She looked tired, yes. But also awake. For the first time in a long while, Emily believed she would be okay.